Hello again. We at Jewish Gen Education believe that you can't search for your Eastern European ancestors until you find the town. So how do you find the town? Well, we suggest that you start with your U.S. documents. That will help. Passenger manifests, military drafts, Social Security application, death certificate, burial organization, naturalization papers or alien registration, and sometimes the U.S. Census from 1920. But that's not the topic of this video. This video says, you found the town name. You don't know where it is, but what do you do now? Well, I say you go to Jewish Gen. Jewish Gen and start with the community pages. It's the best search vehicle you're going to find. Go on to the databases and then click on the town finder. And you're going to see this query. It's another excellent vehicle from Jewish Gen. You can search for the Jewish Gen community in various languages, German, Russian, even Yiddish. You can search in time frames. Perhaps the 1910 census said they came from Russia. Well, you can put in pre-World War I country, Russia. Or if it's Austria. And lastly, we have the wonderful Soundex, the sounds like, because we know that the names morphed. They got spelled differently. They got shortened. They got changed. And so the Soundex, which is primarily for Eastern European surnames and towns, is a very good vehicle. When you do the research in the Jewish Gen community pages, for instance, you might be looking for Rohatyn. And what I'm showing you here is that we have the Yiddish name of Rohatyn in the alternatives that we present to you. One of these may be your town. They all sound like Rohatyn. If you've decided it's a certain town and you see a Jewish Gen logo, then it means there's a community page for it, and the community pages are fabulous. First, you can get alternate names from various time periods in many different languages. You can find out how many other Jewish Jenners are researching that town through our family finder, and maybe there's somebody researching the same surname from that town. And then there are other wonderful Kahila links, and there are burial sites, and there are many other things. Let's go a little further down on this community page. You will get the history of the town, what country, province, and district it was in the major time frames, before World War I, between the wars, and after World War II. You will find out about the Jewish population around 1900, and what does the town look like in Yiddish. You'll get a map so you can go in and out, zoom in and out of the map to see what's around, but even better, you'll find the nearby Jewish communities. And remember, many Jewish marriages were made with nearby Jewish communities. So you may have found Grandpa's town, but Grandma may have come from the surrounding town. So it's really important to get to know those nearby Jewish communities. If you don't find your town on the community pages, even though you've used all the search tools, then try the Gazetteer. Here's the difference. The Gazetteer has every town in Eastern Europe, almost 2 million of them, whereas the Communities database has just Jewish communities that had a significant Jewish presence around 1900. So that's the difference. All of the towns in Eastern Europe, or the towns with significant Jewish population and institutions around 1900. So how do you get there? Well, you go down to the same databases, but you come down to the Jewish Gen Gazetteer, and you'll see this query page. Again, you can search for the locality. Now, here's an example from one of my students. She was searching for Blasdyke. That was the name that was handed down in oral tradition. Well, we did the search in the Gazetteer, and this is what came out. you'll see Plastaka, Plashtak, or Plashtak. That was one I thought was a very good possibility because think of it. Plashtak, Blajdak, Blajdik, Plashtak, they're very similar sounding. And don't forget, when they came down in oral tradition, or you found them on a manifest where the clerk wrote down what the person said, you won't get the right spelling. So look at these towns that are within 10 miles. Look for the Jewish town nearby. Look for the town that had the synagogue, that had the midwife, that had the mole, that had the cultural institutions for Jews. And then investigate that town. So, how do you research your town? You can use the rest of Jewish Gen's wonderful facilities, the country databases, Ukraine, Poland. You can use the discussion lists, the daily bulletin boards where people ask questions and get answers. You can use Kahila links, those are pages written by Jewish Genners for their ancestral town, or you can go into the special interest groups which focus typically on a country like Ukraine or Belarus. And there are other great websites on the web. Here are a few. Jewish Records Indexing Poland, which has vital records from the Polish archives and has indexed also some of the Mormon microfilms. Mormon microfilms, many relating further back than 1930, but they were taken all over Eastern Europe. Then you have Roots to Roots, which is a database of archives. If you know the town, you can go in there and get what is in the archives for that town. Genealogy Indexer will allow you to go to city directories from the late 1800s right up through the 1930s. And of course, there's Google. So I hope this helps. And if it doesn't, then think about this. You can post a message on Facebook or on the Jewish Gen discussion